So many parents believe that being physically present in their children's lives as often as possible and for as long as possible will keep love alive and secure their place of respect in the family. But life doesn't work that way. In fact, overstaying your welcome, even with the best of intentions, often has the opposite effect. Instead of gratitude, it breeds irritation. Instead of closeness, it creates distance. And instead of respect, it invites silent resentment. There is a delicate art to knowing when your presence is adding value and when it has become an obligation others must endure. And this art is not something taught in school or written in a manual. It must be cultivated through keen observation, humility, and an understanding of the natural cycles of life. You see, when a child is small, you are their entire world. Your presence is not just welcome, it is necessary for survival and growth. But as they grow, your role must evolve. If you fail to step back when the time is right, you trap both yourself and them in an outdated dynamic. And when you cling to the past, you risk destroying the respect you seek to preserve. Psychologically, human beings crave both connection and freedom. Too much connection without breathing space suffocates. Too much freedom without connection leaves one adrift. Respect flourishes where there is a balance. When elders refuse to adapt, insisting on frequent uninvited visits or constant check-ins, they communicate a lack of trust in their children's ability to handle their own lives. Over time, this undermines the relationship's foundation. Instead of feeling supported, children feel surveilled. Instead of feeling loved, they feel judged. Philosophically, it is important to recognize that life is an ever-changing dance of presence and absence. Even the most beautiful piece of music requires silence between the notes. If there were no pauses, no spaces, the music would become noise. Relationships are the same. A healthy relationship is not measured by how often you show up, but by the quality of your presence when you do. When your visits are rare enough to be appreciated yet regular enough to show love, they become meaningful. When they are constant and expected, they become routine at best and a burden at worst. We must learn to respect the new life our children are building. Their homes are no longer yours to command. Their schedules and priorities have shifted. By overstaying or appearing too frequently, you risk disrupting the delicate balance they are trying to establish. And even if they never say it to your face, inside they are counting the minutes until you leave. This unspoken frustration erodes the warmth of your bond. It is not easy to accept that your children no longer need you in the way they once did. But true love is not about need. It is about wanting the other to thrive, even if it means stepping aside. By choosing not to overstay your welcome, you demonstrate profound wisdom and respect for your child's independence. You show them that your love is not about control or dependency, but about support and trust. This does not mean you must cut yourself off or isolate yourself. It means you must be conscious of the impact your presence has and always choose quality over quantity. Be the kind of elder whose visits are looked forward to, not dreaded. Be the parent whose calls bring joy, not anxiety. The beauty of your relationship will deepen when your children know you respect their space as much as you cherish their company. Remember also that overstaying is not only physical. Emotional overstaying can happen too. Constantly calling, advising, or criticizing, even with good intentions, can exhaust your children. Sometimes silence is more powerful than words. Sometimes your quiet blessing from afar says more than hours of lectures. Give your children the dignity to make their own mistakes and the freedom to learn their own lessons. Only then will they turn to you willingly with gratitude and love rather than obligation. So ask yourself each time you feel compelled to show up uninvited or to linger beyond your welcome, am I coming from love or from fear? Fear of losing relevance? Fear of loneliness? If your answer is fear, pause. Choose instead to cultivate your own joy so that your presence becomes a gift rather than a demand. If you wish to be respected in your old age, Resist the urge to overstay your welcome. For respect, like a delicate flower, cannot bloom under the weight of constant pressure. It must be given the light and space to grow on its own. It is a subtle but powerful truth that many elders struggle to accept. Love cannot thrive under the weight of constant emotional demands. In old age, it is easy to slip into a pattern of leaning on our children for every disappointment, every fear, every complaint about the aches of life. But this pattern, however human it may seem, quietly drains the relationship of respect. When we place the entire weight of our emotional world on our children's shoulders, we do not create closeness, we create suffocation. And with suffocation comes an inevitable erosion of warmth and reverence. We must understand that every person, no matter how young or old, carries their own burdens. Your children, though grown, are still navigating careers, relationships, financial responsibilities, and the myriad pressures of modern life. They are often running a race you cannot see. When you pour your unprocessed fears, loneliness, or regrets onto them, they can quickly feel overwhelmed. It is not because they do not love you, but because no one, no matter how devoted, can serve as the sole container for another's endless stream of emotional need. Psychologically, emotional dependence often begins innocently. Perhaps it starts with sharing your sadness when you feel lonely, or recounting your daily frustrations in hopes of comfort. But when this becomes a routine, your children begin to brace themselves before each conversation. They come to expect heaviness in every call, anxiety in every visit, and soon they feel not drawn to you but obligated to you. This sense of duty robs relationships of their joy. Over time, it breeds silent resentment, even if love remains. Respect, however, cannot coexist with resentment. We are not meant to be emotional parasites, drawing all our peace from others. It is a great disservice to ourselves and to those we love. True maturity lies in learning how to contain and process our own feelings, to sit with our discomfort without immediately seeking rescue. This is not to say you must hide your struggles or pretend you're always happy. But there is a difference between sharing your heart vulnerably and turning your child into a dumping ground for every negative thought. Sharing is a bridge, dumping is a drain. Philosophically, it is important to recognize that the most beautiful relationships are those where two whole beings come together to uplift each other. Love is not about leaning endlessly on another, but about standing tall and walking side by side. When you become emotionally self-reliant, you communicate to your children that you are strong, capable, and dignified. You free them from the impossible expectation of being your sole source of happiness. In this freedom, they come to you willingly with open hearts because they do not fear being swallowed by your unmet needs. Consider what happens when every conversation becomes a lament about how rarely they visit, how lonely you feel, how ungrateful the world seems. These words, spoken again and again, send a message. You are not enough for me. You are failing me. This message, whether you intend it or not, cuts deeper than you can imagine, and it drives the very distance you fear most. Instead, cultivate the courage to find solace within yourself. Invest in practices that bring you peace, whether that is meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, or pursuing hobbies that nourish your soul. Seek friendships with peers who understand the unique challenges of your stage of life. Build a life where your emotional needs are balanced across many sources, not funneled solely toward your children. The paradox is that when you become emotionally self-sufficient, your children are more likely to reach out, spend time with you, and cherish your company. They will see you not as a fragile, demanding presence, but as a source of wisdom, humor, and lightness. You become a person they look forward to connecting with, not a responsibility they must schedule. To love deeply is a beautiful part of being human, but love turns into a burden when it demands constant reassurance and rescue. In old age, if you wish to be respected, strive to offer your presence as a gift, not as a test of their devotion. Let your love be a place of rest, not a source of guilt or obligation. If you want your relationships to blossom with respect and warmth, remember this simple but profound truth. Do not ask your children to carry what you have the power to heal within yourself. We often believe that love and respect are nurtured by constant proximity, that if we can just stay close enough, visit often enough, call every day, we will secure our place in our children's hearts. But life's truth is far more nuanced. Respect, like a delicate plant, needs space to grow. When we insist on inserting ourselves into every moment of our children's lives, we unconsciously rob them of the freedom to miss us, to value our words, to long for our presence. It is in healthy distance, not in constant closeness, that respect naturally blossoms. It may seem counterintuitive. After all, we are told from the time our children are born that the best parents are always there, always attentive, always available. But what serves a child at 5 or 15 does not serve an adult at 35. When our children mature, their need is not for an ever-present parent, but for the quiet assurance that we trust them to make their own choices. When we hover, criticize, or involve ourselves unnecessarily in every aspect of their adult lives, what we offer is not support, but suffocation. Psychologically, human beings instinctively crave autonomy. We define ourselves through our ability to act independently. When elders insist on frequent interference, however subtle, it signals a lack of faith in the younger generation's judgment. That lack of faith quietly breeds resentment and undermines the foundation of mutual respect. In contrast, when you deliberately step back and allow your children the dignity of their own struggles and triumphs, you communicate your deep confidence in their abilities. This confidence earns you a special place in their hearts, not as someone who controls them, but as someone who believes in them. Philosophically, consider how even the sun and the earth maintain a perfect distance. Too close and life burns away. Too far and everything freezes. It is the precise balance that makes life possible. In relationships, distance creates perspective, appreciation, and a natural longing that keeps connections alive. When you are always there, you risk becoming a fixture, something taken for granted, a background presence noticed only when it becomes inconvenient. But when you grant space, your presence retains its power, your words carry weight, and your visits become moments to treasure. Distance also gives your children the opportunity to grow. It allows them to feel the gravity of their own decisions, to learn resilience, and to mature into adults capable of meeting life's challenges. If you rush to solve every problem or shield them from every pain, you steal these essential experiences from them. Worse, you teach them to doubt themselves, leaving them forever dependent on your guidance. Respect can never flourish in dependency. It thrives only in the space where freedom and responsibility meet. It is equally important to understand that healthy distance does not mean indifference or abandonment. You can be deeply connected while giving others space. A wise parent or elder knows how to be available without being intrusive, how to offer support without imposing, how to share love without demanding constant closeness. This is the subtle mastery of presence, being a quiet pillar of strength, not a constant shadow. Ask yourself honestly, do you want your children to feel obligated to include you in every decision? Or do you want them to seek your counsel because they truly value your perspective? The difference between these two outcomes depends on whether you give them the freedom to choose your involvement, rather than forcing it upon them. True respect arises when your children feel empowered in your presence, not diminished. When you step back with grace, you allow your children to step forward with confidence. You show them that your love is not a chain but a foundation, not a cage but a sanctuary they can return to. And when they do return, not out of duty but out of genuine desire, every conversation, every shared meal, every moment together becomes rich with meaning. Remember, if you want respect that endures beyond the fleeting moments of life, learn the art of giving space. Allow your children the blessing of distance, so that your love and your wisdom remain a light they choose to follow, not a weight they feel pressed upon them. Distance, when chosen wisely, is not a sign of separation, but a powerful expression of love. One that lets both you and your children breathe, grow, and truly cherish each other. As we move through life and enter our later years, many of us begin to yearn for a sense of security. We long to know there will always be someone to look after us, someone to lean on. This is deeply human. Yet, if we wish to be truly respected in old age, we must resist the urge to cultivate dependency in our relationships, especially with our children. The greatest gift we can give those we love is not to bind them to us with obligation, but to inspire them through our own independence. It is easy to slip into subtle ways of fostering dependency. Perhaps we start asking our children for small favors, then for bigger ones, until it becomes a pattern. We might use guilt or subtle manipulation, saying things like, "You never call anymore," or "I guess you're too busy for your old parents." Each of these words, each of these moments, chips away at the freedom your children need to build their own lives. Instead of deepening love, it creates a quiet sense of burden, a feeling that their growth must pause so yours can feel secure. Psychologically, when a parent becomes dependent on a child for emotional stability, financial support, or constant companionship, it inverts the natural order of life. Children who must continually rescue or reassure their parents lose the opportunity to focus on their own journeys. Instead of soaring forward, they become anchored in someone else's needs. Over time, even the strongest love strains under this weight, and what was once voluntary care turns into reluctant obligation. If you wish to remain respected, become a source of strength, not a drain on it. Independence does not mean shutting your children out or refusing help when you truly need it. It means striving to stand on your own feet for as long as possible, to nurture your own interests, friendships, and joys. It means taking care of your health, managing your affairs, and seeking solutions before placing your problems onto others. These efforts may seem small, but they radiate a powerful message. I respect myself enough to care for myself, and I respect you enough not to demand more than is fair. Philosophically, we must remember that love rooted in freedom is the only love that can endure. A relationship built on dependency can never be stable because it carries the hidden fear that the connection will dissolve if the service ends. But when your bond is based on mutual respect and a shared joy in each other's company, it becomes unshakable. Children raised to know they are free to live fully, unburdened by unreasonable expectations, grow into adults who return out of love, not obligation. To foster independence in your relationship with your children is to acknowledge the sacredness of their own paths. You show faith in the future you worked so hard to prepare them for. When you refrain from controlling their choices or making them feel responsible for your happiness, you give them the opportunity to flourish. And paradoxically, the more you empower them to live freely, the more they will want to include you in their lives, not as a duty but as a privilege. Independence also brings profound personal peace. When you cultivate a life rich with purpose beyond your children, you free yourself from constant worry about how often they visit or how much attention they pay you. You wake up each day with your own reasons to smile, your own passions to pursue. This inner fulfillment shines outward, drawing people to you because your presence feels like a sanctuary rather than a storm. It is a great tragedy when elders, out of fear of loneliness or irrelevance, choose dependency over dignity. Yet it is never too late to choose differently. By investing in your own growth, embracing change, and letting go of the illusion of control, you show the world and your children that life's final chapters can be just as vibrant and inspiring as the first. So ask yourself honestly, are you nurturing your children's independence, or are you unconsciously training them to prioritize your comfort over their own dreams? The path to respect lies in lifting them up, not holding them back. If you wish your children to honor you not because they must, but because they cherish you, strive each day to embody the independence you hope to see in them. For when you stand strong and whole in yourself, you become a beacon they will always admire, even long after you are gone.